probably the first dozen years is a time when kids should be trying just tons of different things, all kinds of different things. And then if they're fortunate enough to find something that they're passionate about and can serve them in terms of being able to make a living and so forth. I guess money's the root of all evil, but boy, it's nice to have enough of it. On the other hand, it's not all bad not to have enough of it, because then you have to be more resourceful. You have to, you find fun in other places. But there was a lawyer that spoke to you one time about you and your education, and he said to you, well, become a lawyer. You don't have to practice law, but it's there if you need to, or it's there if you want to. Prepare yourself. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to do, but it's probably a good idea to prepare yourself. And I think you have an attitude about Maeve with respect to her education because of your childhood, and because you had a father and a mother who did not
make tons of money.
Did not force you into anything.
Oh, didn't force, and didn't force me into anything.
And that damn, what was that guy's name? John Find Your Bliss guy? What was his name?
I know who you're talking about.
Just sort of let things flow and find your bliss.
Well, but it also has to do when I was born and when I grew up. Gen X, if you start digging, I just read a book about Gen X females in particular. It's called Why We Can't Sleep, and I don't think it's a good name for the book because I sleep fine. But the book talks about how Gen Xers graduated into a recession. They hit mid-career at a recession. There's a whole bunch of things. And we were the first females to be told, sexism's over, you can do whatever you want, which was a lie. I mean, it just wasn't true. I mean, I'm not
Still
saying,
isn't.
Yeah. And you can have everything over the course of your life. You can be a parent and you can have some career and you can, but to do it all at the same, that's just not, it's not.
But would you trade that for the context of your mother's early life?
No.
With respect to, the whole ball game was finding the right husband and being a good wife and mother. That was it. I mean, that's a very important thing and very rewarding thing, but it's pretty damn narrow.
Yeah.
The world is pretty large.
Yeah. If you're a man.
Yeah. 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 There's no question about it. I don't know. I think
What did you play on the guitar?
beginner stuff. I don't remember ever being very good at it. I don't think I was ever very good at any of it. And I didn't. Evidently, it didn't. I wasn't. Well, I was pushed into practicing, but I resisted it. So they got tired of pushing me.
Yeah.
I think they just stopped. Besides that, they were paying money for it. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else. I was very lucky. I was 6 months old when Pearl Harbor happened. So World War II meant nothing to me in terms of sacrifice. Korean War meant nothing to me in terms of sacrifice. I was just starting my career, and it happened to be teaching when I was in my around 25, I guess. And so Vietnam, I was a Kennedy
You're exempt.
Exemption 1A, they called it, in terms of not civil service. What do you call it? The draft. I was 1A. which meant I was married and I was teaching. Teaching put me there, and being married put me there. If you weren't teaching and if you weren't married, your butt was
You would have
very
been in
likely to
Vietnam.
have ended up in Vietnam. And think of the what at least hundreds of thousands who were scarred, and many of them never came back from it in terms of what they saw, what they had to do. When they came back, that they weren't appreciated. I mean, talk about fortunate. Just by the day I was born, I went to Whittier College, small liberal arts school, private school. I mean, I didn't know the difference between a private school and a public school. Counselor said, it'd be good if you went to Whittier. Whoa, I guess, yeah, that sounds good. Best thing I ever did. I was president of the fraternity. I was, student body this or that. I was on the varsity basketball team. I was president of my they called them societies, not fraternities. That would have never happened at UCLA. That would have never happened at some great big old school. And I got a decent education. And it was just as natural for me as it could be to just go forward and become a teacher. And I knew in college that I was going to be a principal. I saw myself, because I had been in, I guess, student body president in my high school, and what happened in college and so forth. It seemed like that's what I ought to do. Now, and so I taught 5 years, and I became a principal for 18, and then I was fired. And at the time it wasn't funny, but the superintendent was, we weren't on the same page. But I was smart because I stuck it out. I put my head down and I kept busy, and I was embarrassed for having lost my job. But they're sending me $85,000 a year for waking up. And I suppose if I had done some other things, I could have done better than that. But boy, I wouldn't give up that defined benefit for anything. And then I was single and I had a great time. It was very painful to go through a divorce after 18 years. But I think we're still friends. Sue and I are. It wasn't that we weren't at the time, but since that time, because we had kids in common, and because she's a decent person and so am I think she holds me in esteem, and I certainly hold her in esteem. And then I met Christina, who was absolutely gorgeous, and but she was even more beautiful on the inside. And she, like me, she saw a lot in me. And here's another fortuitous thing. The year we met was the last year my mom was in my house, and I took care of her. And I think that meant so much to Christina that I was taking care of my mom at my house. I think maybe Christina met her once because my mom died. We got together around Christmas, and in April my mom died, and so Christina didn't get to know my mom, but she knew that I had taken care of her, and I think that really meant a lot to Christina. And we're going on 27 years, and I am so thankful for her. Now with COVID going on right now, I can't imagine what it would be like to be alone and not be able to have contact with people, and just me and my damn dog, who's about to die of old age. I mean, but that's not the case. I've got somebody to share my life with, and it makes all the difference. Travel, name some place. There's not many places that Chris and I have not been. Name a place. It's very likely we've been there, and we've enjoyed it greatly. It's been, I don't have much to complain about. However, I can complain without much difficulty. But I can also pull myself up short and say, stop it. You don't have much to complain about, because I don't. Got a couple of
I like
kids.
I like how Christina's in the background and the dog's in the background too.
How about the seals? Seals are cool.
Is that a screensaver?
Yeah. It's a screensaver.
That's cool. That's super cool. It's like you have an aquarium in your house.